welcome back to Giants Latest. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Giants. So as I said yesterday, I was going through some of the comments and was shocked to see that someone thinks that we should trade Andrew Thomas. And respectfully, my good friend, I wildly disagree with you. And the biggest reason for that is because who on earth is going to replace him? This is the problem, right? Is that when Andrew Thomas goes down, we don't have anyone good at left tackle to step in and our offensive line falls apart. So here's what I will make one caveat to that, because this year is a little bit different than last year. And this is what I'm going to say is that if God forbid Andrew Thomas goes down, knock on wood, we need that man to stay healthy for all 18 games this year. I just sent my dog running with that knock. But this is what will happen if Andrew Thomas goes down. They're going to move Jermaine Illuminor from right tackle over to left tackle, which they did last year, and I think it was a good move. He has experience playing both, so move him over. You know, you've got a veteran at left tackle. It sure as hell is better than Joshua Ezeudu or James Hudson. And then at right tackle, I think they would put Marcus Bowe, who is their new draft pick, who has guard tackle experience, but they're having him get reps at right tackle. So he's a rookie. Obviously, we don't know how that would work out, but I think in theory, it's a good idea. So I think there might be a little more optimism that if, God forbid, Andrew Thomas goes down this year, maybe the line won't officially crumble. Now, to be determined. And like I said, let's hope that we never get to that point. But Andrew Thomas is a cornerstone on this football team. The Giants are obviously a significantly better team with him on it. I understand that injury concerns are absolutely a problem. I 100% agree with you that that is something that we should take into consideration. But I think ultimately you have to look at it as, if we get rid of Andrew Thomas, what are we doing at left tackle? Who are we replacing him with? You know, and at this point in the year, I mean, good luck trading for a really good left tackle. No one wants to give them away at this point. There's been a big issue across the NFL as a whole that offensive linemen are not coming out the way that they were years ago. I mean, I have seen, a lot of professionals talk about this, that the college players that come out are not as good as they were a decade ago. Their sizing is different. They don't move as well. They're not as good as classes that came out in the past. So it seems like across the league, there are offensive line issues unless you're the Lions or the Eagles. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with coaching, but I just think that we can't just say we're going to get rid of Andrew Thomas because we don't have the draft until next year. So we don't really have an opportunity to replace him with anyone good enough. And until we really see what Marcus Bowe is, we don't know, what that move from Jermaine Illuminor from right tackle to left tackle and Bowe at right tackle is really going to look at, and if it's actually going to be good enough to keep the offensive line in position enough to keep the quarterback standing straight so we can actually move the ball and maybe score touchdowns. So I don't want Andrew Thomas going anywhere. All right, we are officially into week 2 of OTAs, and let's just go through a couple of the highlights because I think there were some good things that came out of it. So the first thing, Jaxson Dart got a couple reps in with the ones. He threw a touchdown to Jalen Hyatt. I know a lot of us are optimistic that Jalen Hyatt is going to get it together this year and hopefully have a breakout season. That's what I would like to see from him. I actually want to do a separate video on Jalen Hyatt where we just dive into all of the reasons why he could potentially be good and hope that he proves me right, because I was super excited when they drafted him. But anyway, so he's looked pretty good in practices. He did put on about 10 pounds this offseason, which I believe the Giants encouraged him to do. We all know that he was super slight last year. So I appreciate that about him. So I think that was great. Jaxson Dart also threw a couple other touchdowns. So one of them was to wide receiver Beau Collins. He's a UDFA from Notre Dame. And then the second one was to Lil Jordan Humphrey, who the Giants picked up this spring. Tyrone Tracy ran for a touchdown. Russell Wilson threw a 2-point conversion to wide receiver Zach Pascal, and then Wilson and Pascal also connected for a touchdown later. So the stuff that I like to see at this point in the year is this is a perfect example, is what guys are connecting, especially when it comes to the quarterback position, right? Who is Russell Wilson creating a rapport with? Zach Pascal seems to be one of them so far. It sounds like maybe Jaxson Dart and Jalen Hyatt could be going that way. So those are the things to look for patterns in that as the OTAs continue. So I will make note of that too as the practices come and go. So One more thing on offense, my favorite, Turbo Miller, who was a UDFA last year for the Giants. He went to South Carolina, so I love him. He is wildly fast, which is obviously why his nickname is Turbo. But he was able to show off his speed on either side of the line of scrimmage. So I just like that he's getting involved. You know, at this point, he's the number 4 or number 5 running back. So I like to see that he is showing up well in OTAs and hope that continues throughout the summer. Let's talk about defense because Paulson Adebo has had a pretty strong showing so far. He had an interception, which I love to see because I know a lot of us love the Paulson Adebo signing, but obviously there were concerns knowing that he's coming off a foot injury. He seems to be fully healed. It seems like it's not bothering him, and he was able to go up and catch an interception, which is great. Love that. Side note, our defense needs to have a lot of takeaways this year. We've got guys who are ball hawks who are capable of doing it, so I want to see it translate. Speaking of, Micah McFadden and Dane Belton also had interceptions during the week. Again, Belton is a guy who is probably one of the only Giants since he's been here to have multiple interceptions. So I want to see him continue on that. It's his last year with his Giants contract. So hope to see more of that from him. And then Bobby Okereke broke up a pass, and Chauncey Golston would have had 2 sacks. So it's practice, but like I said, these are the things that I like to see who's stepping up well. Bobby O is a guy who also had a disc injury last year. He ended up telling the media last week. So he's a guy who's coming off of injury, and we'd like to see him coming back strong. He is a cornerstone of this defense, and we need him to have a good year this year. So the fact that he's healthy is great. Let's move along to quarterback Jaxson Dart because he signed his rookie contract. He signed a 4-year, $16.97 million guaranteed rookie contract. It also includes a signing bonus of $8.987 million, and then of course includes that 5th-year option. So obviously too soon to tell what the Giants will do about that, but I'm glad that he's officially signed. That is out of the way, and we can move forward. I believe those were the only 2 guys that still had to sign. Abdul Carter signed his last week. I know the Giants had to free up some money in order to do that, and now Jaxson Dart signed his. And, we love to see it. So lastly, let's talk about something that we talked about last week a little bit, is that the alumni are out in full force and they are back in the building. And Dable was asked about it, and he just said that he thinks it's really important for these guys to know the history of the franchise and to know how important these guys are, right? And what they really did for the Giants and what they mean to so many Giants players. So they had Howard Cross and Otis Anderson. I have seen pictures of Michael Strahan. I think Justin Tuck has been there. There have been a ton of former Giants players who have been there, which I think is amazing. Happy to see that. And then I'm trying to find a tweet from Leonard Marshall. Here it is. I love that he tweeted this. He said, "This is the shot in the arm that this franchise has needed for years. In order to establish a culture, it's highly imperative that these young players see in person the men who built this franchise, such as myself and other colleagues. Let's go, New York." And he's 100% right about this. And this is one of the reasons why I was pissed that there was all this stuff that was coming out that, alumni were not happy with the organization, with the front office, with the coaching staff, etc. These are the guys who everyone in the building should be relying on. They know how to win games. They know how to win Super Bowls. They know how to take care of their bodies. They know how to do all of these things well. So I'm glad that Dable has gotten on board, that he's brought these guys in. I love that Lawrence Taylor is in the building. I love that he's talking to Abdul Carter. I love that Carl Banks, Phil Simms, Sean O'Hara, Eli Manning, these guys are always in the building, but I think it's so important for these young guys to really understand the culture and the history of the Giants. They are one of the few franchises in NFL history that have been around for 100 years. So I love that they're doing it. I want to see more of it, and I hope that we continue to see it throughout OTAs and training camp. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. More Giants latest coming your way.